All right, everyone, welcome in. We're here with some more FSAN hard-hitting analysis. Today I figured we'd go over, since we just had the 2016 rookie draft, I figured we'd go over the 2014 and 2015 drafts and do a little bit of good, bad, maybe do a draft review. We'll have it all up on in the email. But I'm lucky enough, I got Mosher Matt here with me. What's up, Mosher?
Yo, what's up, guys? So excited to be here. This is a Unity podcast, a Unity draft. So just really excited to squash any latent beef that may have been coming up between North and South. We're just going to speak truths, and we're just really excited. Just really excited to get going here.
Yeah, I mean, FSAN, we're just here to really talk about the things that 12 people in the world care about. So that's about it.
That's about it.
So I wanted to start off with, we're going to talk about 2014, 2015 draft, obviously. I want to talk about, we're going to start off at the top. We're going to talk about the franchises that have killed it. So I'm going to start out with the Bobcats. These guys, sneaky good. I started going through the picks a couple days ago. Really good draft picks. So
absolutely.
On average, each of their draft picks have had a half of a round of value. That means if they're picking at the end of the first, they got a guy that should have gone in the middle of the first, right? So We're talking about guys like Derek Carr, who was virtually one of the last guys picked and should have been a first rounder. And we're talking about guys like David Johnson. So David Johnson was picked up in the second round, and now he's a top 5 running back in this league, projected. I mean, he played really well last year, and it looks like he's going to be the stud in Arizona.
Yeah, I have nothing but love for the Bobcats draft. I feel like they do a great job of drafting talent, and then also when the guys that they draft aren't quite panning out, they do a good job of moving them for new and different assets. We saw that with what they do with Jalen Strong and then also Devin Funchess this year. Those are good players, but they didn't quite fit the roster design that their owner had in mind, and so they moved away from those guys. And I thought that was just a really strong move, savvy ownership. But I want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you, Donnie.
All right, hit me.
I think that the team that might have the best drafts is Magic Ike. And listen, bear with me. Bear with me on this one. In 2014, he took Brandon Cooks, number 2, which in hindsight seems like a no-brainer, but wasn't. He took Sammy Watkins, number 4, when some atrocious drafting led him to drop there. And he took Jordan Matthews, number 15. And the crazy thing about that is those are 3 wide receivers that were fantasy relevant for all of last year. They're also all in RotoWorld's top 40 overall players. Not top 40 receivers, top 40 players. So that is some crazy shit. But what might be the craziest shit is that none of those guys are on his team anymore.
None of them play for the Eichmann.
Yeah, so that's interesting. Sort of the same shit, though. In 2015, he took Todd Gurley, stud, great draft pick, traded him. He took Dorial Green-Beckham, who we've seen some up and downs. The jury's still out on that guy. But Jameis Winston at 16 looks like a great pick. Getting a good quarterback in the early second in our league seems like a great deal. And Jay Ajayi in the early third, who's, we're not sure what to make of him exactly, but he's going to have his opportunities this year. So I think that Magic Ike, maybe contrary to popular belief, is actually one of the best drafters in the league.
It's a very controversial subject, obviously. I really like Jameis Winston, obviously in hindsight. At the time, seemed like an early reach for Winston, but he played well last year, and all signs are pointing up in the Tampa Bay offense. So you gotta like his opportunities there.
So the thing that strikes me we also got to talk about is if we're talking about best, Donnie, we probably need to talk about worst. And
Definitely.
One of them, I think we could just say without a doubt, is the worst, and that's the Get Off Me Dogs of War Nuggy franchise.
Yeah.
Absolutely inept drafting prior to this year. It's laughable. I don't even want to talk about how bad their drafts were. But that said, shouts to my man Nate. Really pulled out some great moves in this year's draft. Has been making moves since acquiring more talent. So I think that is a roster, despite its ugly history, is a roster very much on the way up. So I had a controversial take on who has the best draft history. I also have a controversial take on who has the worst draft history. Donnie, you ready?
All right, hit me.
All right. Besides Dogs of War, getting them out of here because that's just a joke. I think the team with the absolute worst drafting history in Russell Wilson Man Crush is Primetime.
Okay. Well, you're gonna have to explain that one because I like how Primetime drafts. So tell me what you're thinking.
Do you really? Because I'll tell you, I like one of Primetime's picks.
Okay.
He has this, what was the helmet catch? We had a helmet catch moment
Right, yeah.
of taking Jarvis Landry, number 37 in 2014. Now that is a fantastic pick.
Great pick.
Borderline one of the best draft picks in our league's history. But other than that one pick, he's got Terrence West, he took Tevin Coleman, David Cobb, Justin Hardy. Those four guys. Tevin Coleman, I guess maybe there might be something too, but essentially he's got nothing out of his other draft picks. He's got Jarvis Landry and nothing. There's just not enough talent through that draft for us to consider him anything else.
Right. Yeah. I'm gonna have to agree with you. The Terrence West is definitely a glare on their record there. It's really tough to come back from that.
And Terrence West in mock drafts that year, he was a top 4, top 5 guy. Having him fall to 11 must have felt like a steal, but shit.
Very tough. All right, so another at the bottom of our list here. I'm gonna have to put Geno 911 on blast.
Okay.
So we're talking about a guy who drafted Marquise Lee in the first round, 2014. And a lot of you might be saying, yeah, obviously in hindsight that looks bad. At the time, I think it still was not that great. It didn't
look great.
It didn't look good.
It wasn't great.
But then also last year we had Melvin Gordon picked in the top 3, and that's a lot of people really liked Melvin Gordon at the time. He had a great spot there in San Diego. All signs looked like he was going to be the bell cow back, but really looked lackluster, and then had the injury. So who knows where he's going to be at next year? He might be a good candidate for a bounce back. We don't know though. So,
and something I need to add to that, Donnie, is I spoke earlier about how the Bobcats do a good job of moving off of guys if it's not working out.
Right.
They move off guys and they acquire other assets to move with that. Geno moved off of Marquise Lee by cutting him, and that's not the move for a guy you're taking in the top 10.
Yeah, it's tough to cut a first round draft pick.
And similarly, Melvin Gordon seemed like almost a throw-in to a big trade that he did with Chris in the offseason. And I don't know what to make of Melvin Gordon. I think he didn't score a single touchdown last year. It seemed like you're moving off a guy too early and not getting quite enough back.
Yeah, we'll see. Geno, I hope that more things go better for him in the future. But you gotta pick your guy and go with him.
So a team that I think that might not actually jump out by the numbers, because by the numbers they have had an atrocious series of drafts. I'm kind of labeling them the bounce back boys, and that's Lick My Gun.
Yeah.
Their players have not performed on the field maybe the way you would want to, especially in 2015. Amir Abdullah, first round pick, taken I think number 6 overall, number 5 overall. Didn't get it done on the field, but I think signs are still really pointing in the right direction for him. Same with Philip Dorsett, a deep threat on the Colts. The step down from Andrew Luck throwing him the ball to Matt Hasselbeck, that's not what a deep threat wants to do.
Yeah.
And similarly, Kelvin Benjamin out for the year, didn't get him anything in 2015. So those are 3 players, first-round talents who really didn't get it done on the field in 2015 due to injury, due to other people's injury, whatever, that I think could all step up and make immediate impact this year. So I'm calling them the bounce-back boys.
Yeah, I like that take, and I think Lick My Gun, they're really smart to just kind of sit and wait and bide their time with these guys because, these guys had really rough seasons, and they could have really easily cut their losses. But yeah, I think you're right. These are all guys that I think the signs are pointing up, and they got nowhere to go but up.
And my sources, the committee's sources, have it on good information that really shitty trade offers were made for those players. And so good on Lick My Gun for seeing a shitty offer for what it was and staying the course. Hey, so we've kind of talked at a team level, but maybe we could talk about just round by round, year by year, the best draft picks of each round. And I want to say definitively the best draft pick of 2014's first round is Allen Robinson. As a rookie, you couldn't really get much out of that. He only had about 500 yards, but he exploded onto the scene in his second year. 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns, finishes the number 4 wide receiver in fantasy. On top of that, he had rock-solid consistency. 12 out of 16 weeks, he scored 10-plus points. He was a guy that Crosbane could leave in his lineup each and every week. Great pick, absolutely the best pick of the first round in 2014.
Right, yeah, getting Allen Robinson at the end of the first, and really, I mean, hindsight should have gone at the top of the first round. It's really good value there, but also 2014 got you Brandon Cooks. Who he was picked at the top of the first round, and really that's where he should have been. I mean, that's a great pick there, and it's really interesting to see guys that are drafted high and then they really pan out, especially in the first couple seasons. It's pretty tough, and so
don't overthink it.
Exactly, pick your guy. And then 2015 we had a similar thing. Todd Gurley picked number 1 overall, and turns out he's a stud. So no brainer. You don't got to think about that pick.
Yeah, just take your guy. A guy that kind of fell down our draft boards a ways in 2015 that I thought was very interesting is T.J. Yeldon. As a rookie, he finished as the number 25 running back, so that's pretty good, more than 100 points. And the thing about that is he did that without really getting the goal line touches in Jacksonville. I think he's a big boy. He looks like he should be able to pound the rock, and he still produced on the field. So this year maybe isn't going to be his year with Chris Ivory there, but I think T.J. Yeldon at the end of the first round, a nice solid value, good talent, good opportunity, getting it done. Going into the second round, 2014, we got to talk about Odell Beckham Jr., right?
Obviously.
Smoke Weeden got him at number 17, so that is a hell of a pick. Dude has become a top 3 redraft option, a top 3 dynasty option, finished as a top 5 wide receiver last year. He projected to be the same this year. So getting a guy like that, number 17, halfway through the second round, big deal, huge deal.
Right, yeah, and again in the second round we had Jeremy Hill go. Very last pick in the second round, 2014. Really good value there. All signs were pointing that he was going to be a backup, kind of injury-dependent kind of guy, but he really showed up and has played ever since his first snap there in Cincinnati. It's really great.
Yeah.
Moving on to 2015, we already talked about him. Bobcats picked up David Johnson. This guy came out of nowhere and has lit the league up since he first touched the ball, stepped on the field. I mean, that's a no-brainer. He should have been number 1 overall almost. So
yeah. And so he's actually projected by RotoWorld to be a top 8 talent this year. So they've got him as a number 8 overall player in the RotoWorld rankings. And to get that guy in the second round, absurd. Just absolute absurd.
Absolutely.
Another guy that I think came out of the second round that is really showing some life, we talked about him earlier, is Jameis Winston.
Yeah.
Famous Jameis, he came out with the character issues. His rookie year was kind of as expected, but all the signs are really coming through like crazy for Jameis. I think he could do a lot of things this year. He's got weapons around him. He's coming into camp lighter than he was. I think Jameis Winston seems like the kind of player that can anchor a franchise for a long time, and getting that in the second round is huge. It's just huge.
Yeah, no doubt about that for sure. So third round, this tends to be our lotto picks section.
Right.
So really, you got nowhere to go but up with these third rounders. And like we already mentioned, 2014 we had Jarvis Landry. Really, this guy should have been number 6 overall, number 7 overall in the first round.
Yep.
And you picked him up in the third round for almost nothing. I mean, this is a great pick.
I might argue that Jarvis Landry might be, in fact, our maybe the best draft pick ever in our league.
Possibly.
And like I said, I was blasting primetime earlier, but you can't argue with that,
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that said, I also think there's some other great third round picks. Derek Carr, number 36, one of the last picks of the third round. He was the number 13 overall quarterback last year. He's got Amari Cooper now, so things are looking good with him. Martavis Bryant's got to stay off the weed. Got to lay off that reefer, which should be fucking legal anyways. But, you know how it is. It's not. So he's a boomer bust player. He was a boomer bust player in 2015. If he plays, he'll be a boomer bust player in 2016 and beyond. But lots and lots of talent there. Another great player out of the third round in 2015 that I liked, Matt Jones at number 30. It looked like he was buried on the depth chart in Washington, but the talent was there, and over the course of the year, he emerged as a starter. Going into this year, he looks like he's going to be the starter for a team that's going to run the ball a lot. So I think there's value in the third round, and this shows it.
Right, yeah, and then also in the third round, you had a similar case with Jeremy Langford. Mm-hmm. He's behind arguably one of the most dynamic backs of the past 10 years. Right. Really unfortunate injury, and then all of a sudden Jeremy Langford's the bell cow back in Chicago.
Next man up.
Yep.
Next man up in Chicago.
So these are all great picks, and I feel a lot of times the franchise owners don't really value third round picks, but if you think of them as lotto tickets, there's only one place to go, and that's up.
That's right.
So
that's right.
So we're gonna kind of lightning quick go through the worst draft picks. Ooh. So first round we had Nelson Aguilar, number 7 overall, 2015. This is a guy that just didn't show up. He didn't look like he even really wanted to play football. So
no. He showed up to the strip club.
Right.
And you know who else hasn't shown up? Bishop Sankey.
Right.
Go Dogs. Go Dogs. Looked like he had it to me. He had the measurables. He had the opportunity. It seems like he's got the work ethic. I don't know what's wrong. Number 1 overall pick in our league in 2014. Really, that dude should be on the waiver wire. Just like Marquise Lee. Right. Number 8 overall pick in our league in 2014. Dude should be on the waiver wire. Another pick we really got to talk about is Cody Latimer, number 13. I looked it up today. I don't think he was number 13 pick in our league. I don't think he's had 13 catches in the NFL.
That's a great stat.
It's atrocious, dude.
Yeah.
It's atrocious. Get that guy out of here.
Yeah, and again in the same kind of vein, we got Andre Williams, pick number 20 overall, 2014.
He's on the waiver wire.
Yeah, and then the worst of the worst, we have to call out Deron Carter. Second round.
He does not fucking like school.
He also evidently does not want to play football. So
yeah, not the greatest pick of the draft.
Right.
Drafts.
Yeah. So that wraps it up for our FSAN past draft analysis. I'm really glad that you popped on with me, Matt.
Oh, thank you for having me. I always love it.
Hell yeah, it's been great. And so go ahead and check in the email. We're going to have the full draft redo up there, and keep an eye out for more hard-hitting analysis. See you next time.
Stay classy, guys.
All right.